Welcome back everyone to Racing Reviews, and welcome back to the second of our Formula 1 2021 car launches. Last week we had McLaren, a very similar livery to the 2020 Challenger, a bit of a disappointment for Formula 1 fans. Today it's the turn of AlphaTauri, the brand new team on last year's grid. Would they change things up for 2020? Well, I'm sure, as you can already see in the background, they certainly did. Didn't expect that one, lots to go through in today's video. So, as always, if you are new, feel free to subscribe to keep up to date with all the greatest and latest Formula 1 news, reviews, all that good stuff. You know what to do. The subscribe button is down below. But let's crack on with this. I cannot wait to talk about this livery. Of all the teams on the F1 2021 grid, there is usually two that keep the exact same livery year in, year out. One of those is Red Bull. The other is their sister team that were known as Toro Rosso but have been rebranded to AlphaTauri. And this was the first year we were going to get a real understanding if AlphaTauri were going to continue that trend we have seen for so many years within that Red Bull family. And as you can see, they've broke the link. They've decided to go bold, they've decided to change things up. And for a team that is primarily trying to sponsor and promote Red Bull's fashion brand, I can understand why they've wanted to do that. And hey, as a connoisseur of liveries, I have got no complaint whatsoever. Last year's livery, one of my favourites, an absolute peach of a livery, awesome stuff. This year, very, very similar vibes. As you can see from the images on screen, rather than it being a 50-50 split from the front and the rear of last year's AlphaTauri, it's more so of a top and bottom half, if you will, with the top of the car being that traditional AlphaTauri matte navy blue, which just looks so cool on a Formula 1 car, and the bottom half being white, something we don't normally see with this style and shaping of livery. Often, that white section of this year's AlphaTauri is usually black, and teams such as McLaren, Renault in the past, more recently Red Bull, use this tactic to try and hide little winglets on the floor, little intricate details that is on the floor. But AlphaTauri have gone bold. And it's safe to say, for a second year in a row, I really like it. Will it be my favourite on this year's grid? Of course, we're going to have to wait and see, but I've got a funny feeling it won't be, or at least it'll take a little bit of time to grow on me. It's got those 70s, 80s kind of vibes to it. It's very plain, very clean, very modern. But it is very plain. And apart from the giant AlphaTauri logo on the rear engine cover of the car, there's no real sponsors on this year's AlphaTauri either. That is something, of course, we have seen for many years with the Toro Rosso, with last year's AlphaTauri, most of the sponsors coming on the front of the car, the nose. You've got the traditional Pirelli, the My World, the Honda logo, which, yes, is on this year's car. They do technically have Honda power engines this year, and the Red Bull power unit technologies will come in for next season in 2022. There is Honda branding on the rear wing and a red Honda branding on the side pod, which I think that little flash of red is needed, and I would have liked to have seen maybe a couple more winglets here and there using that red, maybe higher up in the car a little bit more white, something to break that up a little bit. But from a brand perspective, this is perfect. This is exactly what they are looking for. Something classy, something that sticks out with the AlphaTauri colours, but doesn't get caught up in everything else. The one sponsorship that matters, the AlphaTauri logo, is front and centre. You know who is sponsoring this team, you know who this team are just by looking at the car. And if that indeed is their main objective, which I'm sure it is, they have hit the nail on the head perfectly with this 2021 livery. I would love to know your thoughts on this year's AlphaTauri in the comment section down below. I will be joining you very shortly after this video is posted. We'll also be jumping onto our tier list in a moment's time, but just before we do that, also today we got news on helmets. We did this for McLaren. I enjoyed it, so I'm going to also do it for AlphaTauri. And not every team, when they launch the car, also launches team kit, helmet designs, that kind of thing, but I thought it would be fun to include them where we can. Now AlphaTauri, just like the car, helmet design is limited. The AlphaTauri branding front and centre for all to see. That doesn't mean we don't get helmet bangers from the AlphaTauri drivers. Gasly put some incredible pieces of artwork together last year. The Belgian Grand Prix, the Antoine Hubert tribute, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Danny Kvyat did an awesome one at Imola, and also Gasly, an incredible Senna tribute at Imola as well. This year, Gasly's gone a little bit rogue. It's very similar to last year's helmet design, with the only real change being that main structure of orange in the body of the helmet. There's kind of that band on the side, and last year that was white, whereas this year it's more of that orange we see in the centre, just with a different texture of all the symbols, the number 10, the Pierre Gasly logo. But not too bad, just not an improvement from last season, I would say, for old Pierre Gasly. But why I really wanted to do this for AlphaTauri is this is the first helmet design for Yuki Tsunoda, the Japanese rookie, the number 22. The last driver to run that number was Jenson Button in 2016. His helmet looks like this, and I really like this one. It is very similar to what he wore in F2. It's very similar to what we have already seen on AlphaTauri track days that Yuki Tsunoda has been involved in. But I am a sucker for orange helmets. It's my favourite colour. I think it really works with the AlphaTauri branding, and I think similarly to what Pierre Gasly has done, Gasly has made his a little bit brighter, a little bit more vibrant, and I think with this year's AlphaTauri livery, it's going to make those drivers pop just that little bit more and should complement the livery quite nicely. So Yuki, great job on your first helmet in Formula 1. Before we go then, it's tier list time. You already know the drill. Last episode, we put McLaren in average. I wasn't too sure about it, and actually on reflection after today's AlphaTauri launch, I'm a little bit more frustrated that McLaren didn't change it up at all. Fingers crossed for next year they do something special. But today is AlphaTauri, and I've put them higher than McLaren, but not too much higher. I've gone with good. It's definitely not legendary. It's definitely better than the McLaren, so it's either good or great. I think it's got room to grow on me, and I would be very surprised if at the end of the year I didn't think it was great. This kind of thing happens in F1. Once you see it hit the track, you really understand what the livery looks like. But from these still images, especially looking at the livery from these 3D rendered generated images, good for me at the moment, with room to improve. But I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And just before we go, screenshot time at the ready. Here is the rest of your car launch schedule. Next up, Monday, it's Alfa Romeo with a bit of a wait until carnage in the car launch market, with Alpine and Mercedes on the 2nd of March, with Aston Martin a day later on the 3rd, Williams on the 5th, Ferrari on the 10th, and Red Bull and Haas yet to announce their date. Fingers crossed it's in that gap between Alfa Romeo and Alpine. But that is it from me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know your thoughts on this year's AlphaTauri in the comment section down below. I'll be back very soon, but I hope to see you all in the next one.